Hi guys, this is Kamal. The agenda of this tutorial is basically to learn routes in Express. So let us learn basically what is routes and how to set up routes in Express in Node.js server. So first thing, what is route, right? Okay, and why we need it. So what is routes, right? Okay, so route is nothing but basically one kind of feature which is available in Express, right? Okay, and using that, basically we can configure different kind of endpoints actually. So let's say in your real-time projects, right? Okay, you have many features, right? Okay, and of course, all those features you cannot develop in one file, right? Okay, and all those features maybe maybe will get expressed in with some endpoints, right? With a different kind of endpoints, right? Okay, so now to create those different features, right? Okay, basically we can use route module actually to configure different kind of endpoints, and we can make our project modular, right? Okay, so let us learn this basically in this tutorial, and we'll see basically how to set up different kind of features with different routes, right? Okay, so in this so already I have here one express project which is kind of basic express project, you can say, in Node.js. And this basically I have already created one video on this topic, basically how to create simple Node.js project, right? Okay, using Express. So if you don't know how to create some Node.js server using Express from scratch, you can go and basically watch my video. So let us get started now, basically to the real, you can say, practical part, right? Basically. So let us first make sure that this project is working fine, right? Okay, so this project is there. Let us just run this node project, right? Okay, so I'll say here node server.js. Let us start the server here. Okay, so now app has started, right? Okay, so let us just hit the endpoint. Okay, so this is on localhost 3000, right? Okay, this project is running, you can see here, right? Okay, so let us just hit this endpoint. Cool, we are getting the response, right? Okay, so we are good, right? Okay, our basic node server is running actually. Now what we have to do now, right? Okay, basically how to set up routes, right? Okay, so let us basically for that, let us create one folder here first called routes actually. Okay, so we'll create one folder called routes, and over there, right? Okay, let us create one file also called routes, right? Okay, .js. Okay, so this is the I have created here one file now called routes.js, right? Okay, so in this file, okay, what we have to do basically, let us just configure here, right? Okay, so we'll say here one called class. Okay, so we'll use here the 6 classes actually. So let us create one configure. Okay, routes. Let us create one class called configure routes, right? Okay, and provide. We'll write one static method here, right? Okay, called configure. Okay, so this is the method which will create, and in this method, right? Okay, now what we have to do, right? Okay, we are going to basically create here routes, right? Okay, so let us first create one variable called routes, and uh, for that what we need, right? Okay, here basically first let us import express, right? Okay, so I'll say constant express is equal to require, and let us just include now express module, right? Okay, because route is part of basically route is part of express feature, right? So now express, we have included the express now here. So now we need to include here express dot routes, right? Okay, so let us see the API, right? Okay, so yeah, this is the interface, right? Okay, so this will say express dot router, right? Okay, so now this router object is available to us, right? Okay, and now let us just basically configure here. So we'll say, right? Okay, routes start to use. Okay, and over here, right? Okay, this is a kind of, you can say, middleware, right? As we learned in our previous video how to set up middleware in Node.js, right? Okay, so on this topic already I've created one tutorial. So now what is this, right? Okay, so this is a use router.use method API, right? Okay, and in that we have to provide one path. Okay, and then some handlers, right? Okay, so we'll say here like some users, right? Okay, we'll let us give the endpoint name as users, right? Okay, and router.use, right? Okay, and here let us give this later, right? Okay, so what we have to give here, right? Okay, basically mm, we have to add some users configuration again, right? Like we are doing setting up a routes right here. So what we have to do, we have to do some handler. So we'll add that handler later, right? Okay, so before that, what we have to do, okay, we have to create in the, let's say, in the same routes folder. Okay, now we'll create another file, right? Okay, called you can say users, right? Okay, so we'll say users.js, right? Okay, and this file is also there only, right? Okay, so here we'll come first and we'll say users, right? Okay, class, and again in this we'll write one API called static users, right? Okay, and users static, and we'll say configure. Okay, so this is the same similar kind of API in the users, and now here we'll do the same copy paste, right? Okay, what is what we are doing here, right? Okay, so this is the express, and let us just copy this express as well there first. So yeah, this is the express, right? So express is added now here, and this is the route, right? So routes dot yeah, so now here this is the route, right? Okay, so now in the users, right? Okay, what we will do, right? Okay, let's say we are providing here, right? Okay, one endpoint called get method, right? Okay, and we provide a list of users on this endpoint, right? Okay, so what we have to do, okay, just we have to configure routes.get right API, and now you can see on the gate, right? Okay, we have to provide the endpoint and some path, right? Okay, we have to configure, and on that path actually we have to, on that path basically we have to provide some handlers. So let's say path, we say just slash and, right? Okay, so and after that we have to give one handler, right? As it also request response, right? Okay, and this is the arrow function what I'm adding here, right? Okay, so now from here, right? Okay, what we have to provide a list of basically you can say users, right? Because we are providing here a user class, right? Okay, which we are configuring here as a users endpoint, right? So on this endpoint we'll provide a list of users. So let us say response, right? Okay, dot json, and in this we are going to provide uh, a list of users, right? Okay, so if it is a list of users, let's say an array, okay, of name, right? Okay, so users, we can say user, if user is having some name, right? Okay, so we'll say here some name, right? Okay, we'll say uh, Kiran, right? Okay, name, and now add some, let's say, oh, and address, right? Okay, and in the address we can say Bangalore, right? Okay, sorry, this should be in the listing format, right? Because this, okay, so now this is the object. Let us copy paste just this for two users, because we are providing a list of users here, right? So you'll say here John, right? Okay, and address will say Bangalore or Delhi, right? Okay. So now here basically on in this users route, okay, if you see on these routes, we have created one routes file. Another is the users specific route for the only users, right? So all specific route related with users should come into this file. Like for example, if you have many HTTP verbs, right? Okay, like get, post, put, delete, all should come into this on the user's endpoint actually. Okay, so on this endpoint, just I am providing one static data here. So what you can do basically, from here actually you can call service, right? Okay, so in this tutorial I'm not going to write those services and all. Okay, so in next tutorial when we learn basically connecting with DB and all to read the data, then we'll create the basically services, and then we can configure here. So as of now, just I'm providing the handler here itself and just give some static data, right? Okay, so now, yeah, cool. So now we are providing a list of users here on this endpoint when we call, and now this is done. So what we have to do, right? Okay, we have to first export this, right? So let us module dot exports is equal to give this class name, right? Okay, just to export this class. So okay, so now this class is exported, right? Okay, so one more thing, right? Okay, this is the routes, right? Okay, so what we have to do, we have to just return this routes, right? So after this line, right? Okay, so just let us do one return for this routes. Okay, which is this routes which what we have created here, right? And on the same route, basically we are configuring different kind of endpoints. So now this is done, right? Okay, now let us come to the routes part. Okay, and here, as I told, right? Okay, now what we have to do, that we have to add that to users, right? Okay, so we have created one user class, right? Okay, so for the first, let us require that actually constant. I'll say user, right? Okay, is equal to require. Okay, so users, right? Okay, so this is the users file, right? Okay, so right, correct. So it's coming here, right? Okay, so this is a class what we exported actually. So now this is the users class, right? Okay, users. Okay, so here this is the users, right? Okay, the name just I'm giving the same. Okay, so this is the users, right? And let us just configure this, right? Okay, we have to call that API now, right? Okay, so we'll say configure, right? Okay, and let us just see whether this class is same, right? Okay, so we are saying here, right? Okay, router dot use users, and then let us just go to that class, right? Okay, yeah, so it is the same, right? Okay, so now the configuring routes is done for this users feature actually, you can say. So and let us just return that user again here, right? Okay, let us just not, sorry, not users, but this routes, right? Okay, so let us just return this routes here. Okay, so whatever this route is there, we are just returning this route here, right? And finally, now what we have to do, right? Okay, we have to register this in the our app actually, right? Okay, so this was basically okay. So let me first finish that app registering these routes in the app as well, and then I'll explain again uh, from the whole chain, okay, from the initial actually what all I have done here. So now this is the server.js, right? Okay, so earlier as in basic this project, right? Okay, we were calling all these basic steps, so these all are not needed now, right? Okay, so just I'll remove this all from here, like till delete. Okay, we don't need this. And so this is the app as I was talking about, right? Okay, so what we have to do now, right? Okay, whatever these routes file is there, right? Okay, and this is a class, right? Let us just export this. So here we have to module dot to exports is equal to configure routes, right? Okay, so let us just export this class as well, so that they should be available to the other modules. Okay, so this is done now. And now let us first include that here. So I'll say constant and some ABC or whatever this name is there, just let us keep the same. Okay, so this is the one, right? Okay, configure routes is equal to require. Now we have to include basically routes, right? Okay, so this is the routes. Okay, so now where we have to register this, right? So this is the our Express app, right? Okay, so in the Express app, before starting the server, right? Okay, let us just add app dot use, right? Okay, so as I told, this is the use is the middleware, so we have to give here some path, right? Okay, so here we will give slash v1, right? Okay, so I'm just giving some path here, right? Like slash v1, right? Okay, so this is a version 1, you can say. So in your real-time projects, right? Okay, if you have let's say different kind of configurations, right? Okay, then you can control from here maybe. So just I'm giving as of now here some v1 version, right? Okay, and on that v1 version I'm just configuring this our configure route, whatever we are going to configure for this features, right? Okay, so here what we have to say now, configure routes, right? Okay, this the one, and then call configure api, right? Sorry, configure routes. Okay, let us see what is the method name, right? Okay, so here we see that this is the method name is configure, right? Okay, so we are exporting this configure routes. Okay, so this is the configure routes, and in the server we are just we have just included that this configure route, but okay, why it's not going there? Okay, I think the path is not correct. Okay, so dot sorry slash. Okay, we have to see a slash and then yeah, correct, right? Routes actually. So because this was just package name, right? Okay, so this is the routes file what we have to include here, right? So now the method should be available right here. We should say now configure, right? Okay, and yeah, this is there, and now we configured that route, right? Okay, so let us learn, right? Okay, for let us confirm here, right, what we are doing. So this is the basic Node.js project, and in this is the app, right? Okay, and in that app, right? Okay, we are configuring different kind of routes actually here. So this I have created one basically class, right? Okay, which is available in your routes folder here called route.js. So over there actually. One API is available called configure, right? Static API. So just I'm configuring that API actually. So here, right? Okay, and what that API returns, right? Okay, you can see this returns router, right? Okay, so and that basically express router is getting registered with this middleware, right? Okay, so if any request comes basically with this endpoint slash v1, right? Okay, basically should get basically forwarded to this route actually. So let us now see further, right? Okay, so this is now let us go inside this method, right? Okay, what we are doing, so here in this method again we are creating one routes, right? Okay, and on that route based on the feature wise, like here users is there, right? Okay, so on this users endpoint now you may have different kind of http works like get post delete, right? Okay, so all those will get to specific that to users feature, right? So related to that, actually, I've created one another file called just users.js, and our related feature should go there. So this is the routes, right? To express route, and on that there is the middleware, and we are registering now this endpoint, and we are configuring the specific feature here, right? Okay, for the users actually. So similar way, let's say you have employee endpoint. So what you have to do, just copy paste this and change slash employees and configure the employees service here, or routes you can say, not service. Okay, and then from that routes you can configure the services. Okay, so now what we are doing in this specific users feature, right? Let us see that as well. Okay, so now we'll come inside here, right? Okay, so again this is a static method, right? Okay, and what we are doing here, we are creating an express route, and on that route, see, now we are creating one HTTP method, right? Okay, here, so we are basically registering a get method, okay, on this endpoint. Okay, so this is a request response. So just in this endpoint, we are giving a list of users, right? Okay, with these two objects, right? Okay, with first with name and address. Okay, so now cool, we are done, right? Okay, let us run this project and see whether whenever we hit basically this feature, do we get any response, right? Okay, so okay, now then, so let us come here and just start the server. So I'll say node server.js. Okay, so now server app has started, right? Okay, so let us just hit some gate, right? Okay, so here I'm using here Postman basically to hit the endpoints, right? Okay, so this is one of the REST client. So just on the localhost 3000 where our server is running, right? Okay, I'm not giving any v1 slash, right? Okay, for example, as of now, let us see. I think there is no such endpoint like this, right? Okay, so cool, right? It's saying 404 not found, right? So it's correct, right? Okay, so we should not get anything because nothing is configured on localhost 3000, right? Okay, so where is our routes, right? Okay, so what we have to do first, we have to give slash here v1, right? Okay, because we have configured slash v1. Now on slash v1, if we go inside, what else is there? So inside that there is a route, and again there is a card slash users, right? Okay, so we have to give slash users, right? Okay, and this is the final endpoint, right? Okay, for the users feature, right? Okay, and after that we don't have any further end path, right? Okay, so let us just go there and see, right? Okay, so see on the get endpoint, just slash is there, right? Okay, which is it means it ends there, right? Okay, with just users. So let us hit now, right? Okay, cool, right? Okay, see, now we are getting here. So basically the response is coming basically from this specific users route actually. So yeah, correct, right? Okay, so if I just change this to basically post, right? Okay, because we don't have any such post as of now on this endpoint, so we should not get anything, right? Okay, it's cool. It's saying 404 not found, right? Okay, but as we configure just get request, right? Okay, so if I run this endpoint, right? Okay, on v1 slash users, cool, we are getting the response here with configure, right? So okay, fine, let us just add post as well, right? Okay, in the same users route, as we can configure different kind of basically endpoints here, right? Okay, with gate post or delete anything, right? Okay, so let us do a post here, right? Okay, so what we will do here, just I'll do a copy paste, right? Okay, on this users, and let us just do a post on this, okay, on the same endpoint. And what I will do here, right? Okay, let us just send this on this endpoint. Let's say for this is coming, let us just send the whole array, right? Okay, because list of users, okay, which we are sending. So what I will do here, right? Okay, so as here, right? Okay, what we have to do, okay, we'll say response.json, right? Okay, and what we will send request dot body, right? Okay, so let us just send whatever is coming into the body, right? Okay, so because it's a post request, right? So we are going to send basically one body content, right? Okay, and what that body content will have basically list of users which we will post actually, and the same we can in real time projects we can store into the real dbs, right? But here whatever we get from the request body, okay, the same just I'm going to send as a response, right? Okay, on this endpoint. So here now response.json request.body, right? Okay, whatever is there. So this is configured now, right? Okay, now let us just kill this guy and run it again. So now let us see first whether our get request works, right? Okay, whatever we configured here. So okay, yeah, cool, we are getting, right? See, Kiran and John, whatever we have we have set here, right? Okay. Now for the post, right? Okay, as the method is available right here now, okay, on that endpoint. So let us just change this, and so you can see here, right? Okay, we don't have as we are not sending any body as of now from the request, right? Okay, here. So let us just hit just this endpoint. Okay, so yeah, it's saying name is post, right? Okay, so from where that is coming. So it's saying name is post. So we are saying here request dot body, right? Okay, but in the body we don't have anything as such, right? Okay. So let us just set the body content. Oh, we were sending actually this name as post, right? The same we got back actually, right? Okay. So let us just change this to the list of users, right? Okay. Okay, so let us just change this, right? Okay, so this is we are going to send this as a basically JSON object, right? So this is a JSON, right? Okay, and we are sending a list of users here, which is this, right? Okay. Okay, I think this is because of this quotes, right? Okay, we have to use here quotes because this is a JSON, right? Okay, so it is not a JavaScript what I copied from there, right? Okay, let us just correct this. Same thing here. Okay, so now let us just add quotes here. Yeah, cool now, right? Okay. So let us send now this again, right? Okay, and see whether, as I told, right, we are sending now the list of users here, and the same day body, whatever the content we send, the same we basically send it back into this post endpoint. So let us send it. Yeah, cool, right? Okay, so this was the body content which we were sending, right? And the same we are getting back actually in the response based on this configured route, right? Okay, on this endpoint. So you can see here, right, the same body we are sending back. So whatever. So let us just change this to something, right? ABC and say XYZ, right? Okay. So we'll say XYZ, right? Okay. And let us see just whether this changes, right? Okay. And then we can confirm that whatever the body content we are sending, the same we are getting back. Cool, right? Okay. So we are getting back here the same response, right? Okay. So cool guys, now here actually now we have learned actually how to set up routes basically in Express in Node.js server, right? Okay, so in you can say like for example, if you have to create some other endpoint, right? Okay, so what you have to do, okay, simply you have to come here, right? Okay, let's say for example, as I told, some other feature like employees, right? Okay, just you should come here, do a copy paste, okay, and just change this endpoint to employees, right? Okay, and that's it, right? Okay, and change these users basically to another file called employees, right? Okay, and now based on that, right? Okay, whatever the in the users you are doing like this, right? Okay, you can create one employees file, and over there you can configure your get, post or delete whatever methods are there, and simply now uh, that basically those two features, right? Okay, those endpoints, right, whatever you hit basically, okay, from any REST client, basically you should get the response. So that's it guys for this tutorial. Basically I think now we have learned successfully in this tutorial that how to set up routes in Express in Node.js server. So thanks guys, that's it for this tutorial. Thanks.